Good afternoon. My name is Tom, and today we're going to be discussing these. Obviously, this is a training tool, not the real deal. It's what I use to shape my leather when I'm doing leather work. And we're discussing it because I've been getting a bunch of questions IRL about how to go about acquiring the real deal and what the standards are and, all of that stuff. I want to emphasize right off the bat, I am not now, nor have I ever been an instructor. So the things I say do not make you more qualified to possess such things. I'm not an attorney, and therefore I can't tell you what the legal process is, especially as it varies state from state. What I can do is maybe give you some food for thought. Now, the news tends to tell people a lot of negative things, especially when it comes to like crime rates. They talk about home invasions, and occasionally they talk about somebody stopping a home invasion with their PDW or with their 5.56 or with their 12. So, how does... it's important to remember that those news organizations have a financial interest in keeping you upset so that their advertisers are paying them more money because they keep your butt glued to the seat watching them. And so, there is an emotional manipulation going on when these things happen. So it's important to remain objective when you start making decisions about acquiring that stuff. Now, first thing I want to talk about is when it comes to safety and self-defense, prevention is the best defense. Some people say offense. No, prevention. If you are not in that problem in the first place, then you're safe. So just to elaborate a little bit, I lived in one of the poorer neighborhoods in one of the most disreputable cities in the country for about 6 years. And, I never actually carried. When I first moved in, the crew that was doing business in that neighborhood, they were wondering what somebody who looked like me was doing living there. And they were worried that I might be doing business on their territory. And, they came to an understanding that no, I'm not doing that kind of business at all. And so, they left me alone, I left them alone, and in passing, we were always polite. So, basically, if you want to avoid, things like home invasions, first things first, don't sell dope in somebody else's territory. Secondly, just don't sell dope. And I know that's a little callous, but basically, don't do business in other people's territory. Number 2, be polite. Don't disrespect people. You never know who you're talking to. Sometimes the person you're talking to could be unhinged or they could be dangerous. It doesn't cost anything to not be an a-hole, but being an a-hole can get very expensive. Now, to that end, let's talk about the one time I actually felt the need to have a PDW while living in that dangerous neighborhood. I had walked out my front door in the middle of the night. I was working irregular hours, and the crew rolled up. They were about to boost my car. It's not that they disliked me or had it in for me. It was they needed a car to go do crime somewhere else. a car that couldn't be traced to them, and mine happened to be one of the easier ones on the market to steal. So I hadn't lit my cigarette yet. I put it back in the pack. I walked inside. I grabbed my 12, and as I walked back outside, I just leaned it up inside the door frame as I walked out, and I just pulled out my cigarette and I smoked it. I did not point it at anybody. I did not threaten anybody. I did not say anything. I did not get aggressive. I just asserted my presence in that I am not a soft target, without disrespecting some very dangerous people. If you do disrespect people like that, yeah, they'll leave. But the next day or the next week, at some point when you walk out your door to go to work, you're going to drop. Because that's how they do. If you disrespect them and they don't respond, in their world, that is perceived weakness, and they can't afford that. And you know what? They were convinced, apparently, from that point on, that I'd been carrying 24/7. But that's beside the point. The point is, it was just a matter of business. I did not make it personal. We did not insult each other. We did not hate each other. We coexisted for several more years after that before I could afford to move out. And that's just, I lived in relative peace in a neighborhood that, frankly, most people in my current neighborhood would never go near. They wouldn't even drive through it. Now let's talk about another individual in that neighborhood who was a high school student there. And he was a basketball star, and he had multiple full ride offers to college. 4-year schools wanted him for basketball. He had his free ticket out of that neighborhood. And not free, he put a lot of hard work into it, but he had his way out. But he got proud. He talked a lot of trash. Acted like he was the hottest thing around. Maybe disrespected the wrong people. And then he got mugged. They stole his backpack and his Timberland boots. But I don't think that's what they were after when they mugged him. Because they stomped on his knees. They didn't have to do that. He talked a lot of trash. And what happened to him was absolutely wrong and unacceptable. There is no excuse for doing that to somebody because they were being disrespectful. But that was the world that we lived in. And that is the response that those people give. Maybe one of these could have helped him in that moment. But if he'd done that, they would simply get him later. And so I just want you to remember, it is okay if you want to purchase one of these, but it's very important that you make carefully considered decisions, that you are wise about it. Do not call attention to yourself. Don't get involved with criminal enterprise. Do not talk down to people because you might think they're somehow beneath you. I want to emphasize one more time, it doesn't cost anything to not be an a-hole. But being an a-hole can get very expensive. And this, while it can protect you, it's a very low likelihood that you will need it. Sometimes prevention is the best defense. Like, share, subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments. Have a great day.